this is why I'm like, I want older people around me, because some of them are going to have some real wisdom and also be at a place where they can hold that pain, which is harder when you're younger. I mean, I can hold more now than I used to, but I'm certainly...
You're right, I was really angry when I was younger.
That's what I'm saying. It's difficult.
Some of us reenact our pain, like I said, over and over. And I think the only way to stop, for me at least, the only way to stop reenacting what I was doing was to just love myself and accept and be able to vocalize it and talk about it. Because it wasn't, where I grew up, I couldn't always talk about it. Do you know what I mean? But being able to find, I think that was one of the major gifts Clay gave me, was the ability, nothing was ever wrong. Nothing was ever, like, it was all on my own time. I mean, when he asked me if I'd go out with him, I said in 5 years. You know, I mean, it was a real true, because I'm like, I need to be true about this. Not, he was relentless. I love him for that. And I love him for also bringing a blank sheet of paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He never expected anything.
Well, what did the blank piece of paper represent to him and further to you?
Well, he said, I expect nothing.
Yeah. He was going to love you no matter what. Is that what you're saying?
He said he would accept me no matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
He actually said, you know, if you cheat on me, if you hurt me, if you do something horrific, it won't matter. He actually said that to me. And I had this list, you know, because I've been through so much pain. Now when we talk about it, I don't really have the list. I still need time by myself. I still get frustrated. But to this day, if you ask him, he would say, I don't have a list.
What's interesting about that is, I think, like, we didn't have that conversation, but I think I always had a list. And I'm, for better or for worse, I think I had these, like, ways in which I wanted things to go, and I wanted Jocelyn to fit in this list, you know?
She was a Stepford wife.
No, I just...
Jocelyn, you're like the opposite.
Yeah, no, I just mean it. I wanted, like, I had this idea of, like, what living a good life meant, I guess.
Yeah.
And I wanted Jocelyn on board. But what's so funny is the thing that draws me the most to Jocelyn, we've had this conversation just recently, we talked about this, was that Jocelyn isn't in a box.
Yeah.
That she's not, I can't define her that way. And that's been one of the big gifts for me, because it's, over time, I've realized that what it meant to really love Jocelyn was to not have that list be in black and white.
Yeah.
And it's really opened me up from what I would consider sort of this rigidity that I had inside myself. Not that I don't still have it, but, like, it was real.
Actually, I have a little bit of that. Where did we get that?
I don't know. It took me a long time to see it. Because, like, again, if it's in you.
I don't think of you as rigid, though.
I think what it was like, I had this rigidity around goodness, like what good meant, or right, you know, which is really tricky, because it's...
But if you think about, I'm just going to be honest with Jocelyn, we didn't have perfect or right. Do you know what I mean?
No, but I think
so
I think that was my response to it.
Yeah.
Is like trying to create.
Trying to create it.
It's cultural too.
Yeah.
Some of it's not necessarily familial. It's just in the
And it was through the things in our life that were the biggest, for me, the biggest valleys that were very, very hard for me.
I understand that. Yeah.
That I chose to, and I understand not choosing this, but in this relationship, I chose to open up and let go of some of that rigidity I had around what that meant. And honestly, it's been the most freeing thing for me, where what I would say is, like, I always felt like I needed to be, I don't think anyone said this to me, but I felt like I needed to be the good boy.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was the youngest kid. I was, like, always trying to, like, make everyone
Well, you're the only son.
get along,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it was so freeing to drop that. It doesn't mean I'm not trying to be good or whatever that means to me, but it means that I'm not being so rigid around it. And what is so amazing is the thing that taught me that was the stuff that was the hardest for me.
Oh, yeah.
And And I think that kind of relates to this space, is like if all we're talking about is the things that are so easy to talk about, we miss so much.
So I get to ask you a tough question, and Jocelyn, is that okay?
Yeah.
Of course.
What is the thing that makes you the most upset, or, and I think this is important because Clay and I identify this, like what is the toughest thing about the other person that is the most frustrating or aggravating, or that you have to overcome? Because like, and when you're in a relationship, you're in a family. So like Mary Margaret used to make me upset because she had rules, but I needed to follow the rules, right? I actually don't ever remember being mad at Chris, except for like if he told him what we did that we weren't supposed to do, because I wanted him to, and he did his best, never to betray me. But Mary did. I'm older now and I understand exactly why she, was doing what she was doing, and she loved us, right?
Yeah.
So what is that tough thing? Like now I'm looking back at my life and I'm thinking, my gosh, if my sister didn't like have control of me, I would have been all over the place and like probably a negligent at this point. So what is the tough thing? Because that's a question no one wants to, people don't want to answer that. Like people act like people have these perfect marriages. Like I hear people say they never argue. And I'm like, well, there's tough stuff in a marriage. So I don't understand not talking through it or not dealing with it, because even if you don't get angry, there's no way that people have never doubt or something that's bothering them. So what is that between the two of you that you've worked through?
I mean, one of the things that I think of immediately when you say that is Jocelyn's range. Like
Her what?
her range, like
Okay.
her emotional range. Meaning like, I think in my life, I pretty much kept things, like if the range is from here to here of what you can experience in life.
Yeah.
I like to keep mine kind of here, right? Like in this like safe zone here. I could deal with other people's stuff, but like me personally, I was always trying to keep myself
I never knew that.
in this smaller range because it felt safe in there.
Yeah.
And Jocelyn,
So that's a little bit of control, like trying to control that.
It was mainly me,
Yeah.
No,
No, I don't mean that rudely, but that's like comes from, I think when I see me trying to control things, it's because I'm in fear and I just need to control the situation. So that's interesting.
It's like
because you have this wider. I see what he's saying.
Yeah. Jocelyn's range kind of it runs the full range.
Do you ever get aggravated or roll your eyes or sigh or do things when? Because this is something that frustrates Clay. I already know with me is this range, right? He wants everything to be okay, and us never, which is fine. Everyone's different, but that range really exhausts him. Like if I'm crying, if I'm experiencing frustration. I know this without him telling me. Like we're getting ready to go to counseling tomorrow. It's going to come out that he can't take this. He feels like it should all be this, right? So maybe a lot of people feel that way. I don't know.
Well, it's more of a feminine
Yeah.
sort of.
Did you know that he felt that way?
We've talked about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And I think that one of the hardest things about a long-term intimate partnership is the honoring of one another's truth, right? Because in our case, in our partnership, we have it's a really important value to be honest with each other and to hold up
Even when it's hard.
a pretty crystalline mirror, and that's tricky because truth is relative,
Yeah.
right? Like my truth is my truth,
Right.
and his truth is his truth.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we can get into trouble, I think, in relationships when we're projecting our truth onto the other person.
Yeah, I think I'm bad about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, a lot of, like what I heard you saying before is part of what you've worked through is coming to your own truth, not the truth that got projected onto you from your early environment saying, this is how you're supposed to live.
Yeah.
But you coming to terms with your own truth, right? And that process, I think, can oftentimes be confusing and complex, and there's sometimes there's just the chaos of getting clear about what my truth really is. And sometimes what he reflects back is really
Hard to hear.
hard to hear, but like we had one of these conversations last night, actually, where he was reflecting back some truths that I needed to hear, but were painful to hear. And again, this is where growth is, right? Is like being at that edge and confronting things about oneself that maybe we don't want to see, right? And that's the power of a partnership where there's true intimacy and true trust. And I think that going back to the mission, I just want to say, like, connected to this idea is the fact that we're living through a time where there's just rampant misinformation. We've got AI that's dropped into the scene now, which is making things even more convoluted in terms of the identification of what's true.
Because you can make up anything in AI. I don't know if you guys know. You could change the whole belief process of this world based on AI.
For sure.
And it could be a lie.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. The implications are pretty wild. And that's what makes it even more important for us to do the work 100%. Of identifying our own truth. And truth this is why it's so complicated. And the religion being the source of like so much discord, right? And so much pain.
And I want to say this, not God, religion, right?
Religion,
That's
not
what
God.
I always tell people that.
Not the one or the source or Christ consciousness or however you want to.
Everyone has a different word, and Chris and I talked. We don't care the word. You know what I mean?
Spirit. It's all the same thing. And I think ultimately our pathway to it is through our own truth.
What do you think then, Jocelyn, about someone that is mad at you because of your beliefs and Chris's beliefs? So you know how you're raised in a family. So our own families may not agree with us, right? It took me a long time to accept. I have to find my path, and I love the path that my family took, but it's my journey. So what do you, and I know we need to kind of pivot and bring Clayton in, but I really want to know, what do you say to people that are just mean and hateful because you don't have their same belief? Because I see this all the time now. Like, I was in a meeting with a Christian and someone that was Jewish, and the argument to me was so upsetting because they had different viewpoints, and I felt like the conversation could have gone so differently instead of yelling and anger, and one person saying, I have the truth and you don't, and you're going to hell, right? And the other person saying, I have the truth and you don't know what you're doing, you're lost. How do you fix that in this space?
I think, please.
One of the things that I think when you say that is, we have to hear someone's pain.
Okay. Because that comes from pain, you think?
I do. I think what happens is when it's right, wrong, like I'm right, you're wrong, or just even saying I'm right, it's saying someone else is wrong. That the big part of that is, like, you take these big issues where there's two factions, they're all over the world, and they're in our own homes. And I think when we really get to witness someone else's pain, it's very difficult not to feel that and to have empathy at that point when we really get to witness each other's pain. The problem is we talk on top of each other and we don't allow space. So, like, if you can create ceremony or ritual or space, the whole point is to be able to, it's not necessarily to solve it, it's to be able to hear and hold someone else's pain. And from there, now there's opportunity. Yeah. But until that happens, it's just, the pain is like blocking that connection.
I never thought about it that way. I have to deal with this a lot because I'm around so many different religions and so many different cultures, and I'm criticized a lot. Not that it matters, because I need, but it's, for me, I don't like that conflict, right? But I never thought about it as pain.
Yeah, and I also think, like, consciousness is this, my consciousness might move from being at a really high level, depending on what kind of inputs I'm getting in a given moment, to kind of devolving in another moment, in one given day. But I think that there's, at a higher level of consciousness, it's both and, it's not either or. And the lower levels of consciousness that we can all find ourselves in, you know, or you know, hang out in, you know. It
Yeah.
is either or.
Yeah.
But I think that to Robert's point, it's like, can we create a large enough container that holds
Yeah.
all of it, including the taproots of whatever the pain is
Right.
that created the either or mentality rather than the both and? Because we all know in our heart of hearts that it's both and.
Yeah, it's not just one. And that's
just
why
know that.
we just know that. And honestly, I've never, I don't understand that anger. Now I understand it's pain. I've never understood that, like why someone's fighting over a belief. What are you accomplishing? Like for me, everything in life, and I really have always been this way. What are you solving? What are you healing? What are you accomplishing? And that anger where you're fighting each other, it's not healing the pain. You're right. You have to find a
creating more.
space. Like even if you and I don't agree, or Jocelyn, you and I don't agree on something, I have never been mad at either of you for that. Does that make sense? Or upset, or even, okay, we both have different beliefs or different, I actually don't think I'm that far off from how you guys believe, but it never has upset me. Like when I was with one of our groups who work with manufacturing, they're Orthodox Jews and they're wonderful people. We have different beliefs, but it's never impacted us. And I never feel a level of judgment because I'm different. One of the things I would love to see you guys do is help people work through that, because I feel like throughout history, throughout our history of this world, this has been constant, right? It's caused wars, it's caused destruction. Let me be honest, it's caused pandemics, it's caused economic destruction because of this fight that really doesn't have to be there. And now, I love what you guys said. I really never connected that it's fear or pain, right?
Sure.
Someone's hurt them.
Yeah.
And so they're mad at the other person because of something that happened in the past.
Yeah.
And one of the things I would add to that, like as you're saying that, is like that's difficult to do when you're like 18 years old, because like I mean there's
What about if you're 50?
Well, it's difficult to do anytime, but this is my like one of the things that we've really wanted is like a wide range of people. So
Yeah.
it's not just like one group, because
agree.
we learn so much from each other. And just to take the age piece into it, like we learn through life, or we have the potential of learning through life, mainly from all the problems and all the suffering that we endure and take on and deal with. And hopefully there's some wisdom at some point. And I think like this is why I'm like, I want older people around me, because some of them are going to have some real wisdom and also be at a place where they can hold that pain.
Yeah.
But it's harder when you're younger. I mean, I can hold more now than I used to, but I'm certainly...
You're right. I was really angry when I was younger.
That's what I'm saying. It's difficult.
Yeah.
And I mean, some people probably can that are young, but...
By the way, they just wrote an article about me and Joy just changed it. Do you know what they said? That I've never been mad at anyone or experienced losing my temper. And Joy goes, this isn't Christine. Because when I was younger especially, but even now, that fear comes out. And when I get mad when I'm fearing. So bringing that together, I think you need younger people here too, though, so that they
100%.
can hear it.
And there's a lot of energy there too, like
Yeah.
which is a beautiful, and it's just a different way of looking at the world and life. And I think it's nice to have all those different paths, all those different ways of being. And it's allowing for that diversity is allowing for more. It has the potential to allow for more.
Yeah.
What I always say is hold more.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be an amazing space. We have to stop the podcast so we can introduce Clayton again, and he can talk with us about how we're handling things. But I love what you all are doing. I'm super excited. I really want to say this. My sons, I have 3, you have yours. I really think we're doing these Elysium events and the Root events, and we'll do a lot of female events, but I think their men really need, like my sons are amazing human beings, but they need older men to guide them, like this mentorship thing. I mean, I even say with Clay, like my biggest thing for Clay is I want him around good men. Do you know what I mean? That are not perfect, that they're there for each other and holding that space. Jocelyn, you always say there's these portals or these big spaces, right, that we're holding. I think sometimes because men aren't taught to feel emotion, or they're rejecting it. I just think to do retreats here where they could see that, or men could come in. It's so phenomenal that there's 2 of you, right? Because you have the feminine and the masculine. You both have both, and I identify with both because, you know, Jocelyn, we've talked about that. I feel like when I was younger, I was honestly more masculine. I was outside, I was a tomboy. I didn't even identify with a dress. Do you know what I mean? Like, I thought, why do girls wear dresses? I don't like those. I was forced to sometimes, which I understand, but I think you bringing all of this together here, regardless of the gender, and I say this all the time. We just had a meeting at our corporate office with DRC and Root, and I said, I'm not going to tolerate, I'm not accepting anyone treating someone differently because of a sexual preference or treating someone differently because of a religious preference. It's just not tolerated. It's not allowed in this environment. And if people don't understand this, this isn't the place to work. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because we welcome all of those, and that's what you guys are doing. Yeah. So there may be, you know, we were raised in a home where we had Bible study every day and we were in church. I feel like this is a space for someone like that to come, or someone that's Buddhist, or someone that's Hindu, or someone that's been through pain, or someone that's experiencing joy and just wants to share that because they've worked through the pain. Because after you go through this deep pain, you gradually come out of it, right? And then you reach a point where you're really there to teach people what you just learned. Yeah. So you guys are going to teach so many people here, and your hearts, Joy was saying to me this morning, are just so beautiful. So thank you.
So is yours. We love you. Thank you.